upon your life. God told me that the supernatural ought to be the natural habitat of the believer. 1 Timothy 1:18. This charge I commit unto thee, son Timothy, according to the prophet holding faith. And to hold faith, 1 Timothy 1:19, holding faith, he says, and now again you need to remember the word and or kai in the Greek can mean a conjunction and it can mean an explanation. So it can be and or it can be that is or even. So please pay attention to this. He says holding faith. That is a good conscience. Remember in this series we talked about the fact that conscience is something tied to knowledge. A man's conscience is a function of his knowledge. Conscience is a component of your mind that is either pure or impure, weak or strong as a result of the knowledge. When Paul says them that are weak in faith, he's talking about weak in knowledge. Or when he says if a brother whose conscience is not like yours, seeing you eat meat that is offered to idols, will you not by your liberty cause your brother's conscience to be weakened? He's talking about knowledge. He doesn't have the kind of knowledge that you have. Meaning that the believer's life, again and again, it's important for me to say these things to you. The believer's life is regulated by the love walk. I cannot say that because I have liberty, I then live anyhow. I will cause someone whose faith, that means whose understanding or knowledge is not like mine, to be, for his faith to be affected. Because he doesn't know what you know. So Paul says, holding faith. Now, how do you hold faith? He says, holding faith is by a good conscience. That means it is important for every believer to look out for the right knowledge, for sound doctrine, for good 3:9, 1 Timothy 3:9, the same letter that Paul is writing to Timothy. Paul wrote a lot about conscience. Paul said to Timothy, holding, 1 Timothy 3:9, holding, the same word to echo in the Greek, that means to hold or to have. He says holding faith is a verb, is an action word. It's something you do by the kind of knowledge you expose yourself to. Holding faith, that is, he says holding the mystery of faith. Mystery means something that is written but not explained, that requires an explanation. So he says, holding the mystery of faith in a pure conscience. Did you see that? The word conscience is the word for sunodiasis. Sunodiasis is from the root word sunodio. It's from two words, son and ido, which is knowledge. The way you see things, the way you perceive things. So it says, holding the mystery of faith in a pure conscience. The mystery of faith in a pure conscience. You hold on to faith, or you exercise faith, or you stir yourself in faith because you have right knowledge. Let me see if you understand what I'm saying. Let me give you an example. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 13. How many of you have heard the teaching that faith is in levels? The faith is in levels. That we have, in fact, the Bible uses terminology such as measure, God bless you, O ye of little faith, then I have not seen such a great faith as this in all of Israel. And exceeding great faith. So we've said that faith is in levels, and faith is, you can start up, as a young person, you can start up with little faith, but when you keep up your life and you walk with God for say maybe like 15 years, and your offering is like 15,000. I just want to get your attention. And your offering is like, like he said, then you are now getting to the level of the great faith. But that's not true. You see, you cannot hold the mystery of faith in a pure conscience if your knowledge is not the right knowledge. You will find out that exercising and stirring yourself properly in the things of God, it has to do with the kind of knowledge you are exposed to. Paul says, as a chaste virgin, I've espoused you to one husband. He said, but I fear, 2 Corinthians 11, he says, I fear lest you are beguiled. As the serpent beguiled him through the subtlety of his mind, he says, you also, be beguiled. And then he now says, if another comes and teach another thing. So the knowledge you expose yourself to will determine the strength of your conscience. Rather, the knowledge you expose yourself to will determine the exposure, the stirring, the release, and in fact, the strength and the purity of your conscience.